Mayor and council member reports. I'll begin with Mr. Weinroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Believe it or not, the current election cycle is slowly drawing to a conclusion, and this is the November 8th ballot. And as you'll see, it's got 4 sides to it. There are 20 candidates, 4 proposed amendments to the Florida Constitution, the county-wide question on sales tax, and of course, the City of Boca Raton's own question way at the bottom of this ballot. So when you go to the polls, remember, to the end of the ballot to get to our question. Mr. Zuccaro wrote on his Boca Watch website, if approved, the City of Boca Raton ballot question would require, quote, all city-owned land on the Intracoastal Waterway to be used for public recreation, public boating access, public streets, and stormwater drainage. Mr. Zuccaro posted this political cartoon, which I assume is now on the TV, penned by an FAU graduate and founding member of the Boca Save Our Beaches, a young lady by the name of Jessica Gray, and wherein she quotes the Beach and Parks Commissioner Starkoff as saying, have your park and eat it too. But to say this is to ignore the plain language of the initiative, which Mr. Henry and his committee placed on the ballot. So in their words, not mine, let's look at the question on which every City of Boca Raton voter will be asked to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. Next. Amendment to the city ordinance to create a new code section 28-1308, public coastal lands, requiring that all city-owned land adjacent to the Intracoastal Waterway shall only be used for public recreation, public boating access, public streets, and public stormwater uses. Only. We really bracketed that in with 2 only, so I think we can be pretty sure they meant only. So we have here a proposal, an ordinance, which, by the way, you will note doesn't make any reference to Ordinance 5356, which the council actually tabled. Our city attorney did not draft these words. They are the words the committee and presumably its land use attorney drafted and circulated to the registered voters of our city to have it appear on the November 8th ballot. The word requiring and the 2 instances of the word only in this question were deliberately placed there. The word wildflower or hillstone or Houston's appears nowhere in this question, notwithstanding the admission in this chamber by the committee chair that this question is really meant to derail the plans to lease the parcel on which the wildflower sat and for which the city paid $7.5 million to the Hillstone Restaurant Group to build and operate a restaurant offering waterside dining. But let's stick with the question, exactly what it says, not what might have been the underlying rationale for its appearance at the end of the ballot. In another article penned by Mr. Zuccaro, he writes, quote, Ordinance 5356, which will appear on the November 8 ballot, does not limit the opportunity for multi-use activities on city-owned land adjacent to the Intercoastal Waterway. Mr. Zuccaro goes on to state, quote, a number of those individuals that favor a restaurant only have falsely claimed that the issue of Ordinance 5356 is simply a park versus a restaurant, unquote, to which he opines, quote, simple but false, unquote. Against this backdrop, my colleague here, Councilman Singer, recently held a visioning session which he reported on at the last meeting on September 27th. And if I may characterize his presentation, the workshop he held, which was facilitated by Ken Hirsch, generated interest in a broad diversity of activities for this parcel and others within our city. Included within the activities that got the most traction from the 12 working groups of residents were dining, entertainment, fitness, recreation, and retail. As I listened to Mr. Singer and viewed a sampling of the 86 images that had been discussed, I was struck by three thoughts. One, nowhere in any of these pictures was there any consideration for parking. One image showed an amphitheater, another showed a fountain where children could play, another showed a terraced area where people could come to participate in yoga, Zumba, or aerobics. And I was left wondering, where'd they leave their cars? Two, Mr. Singer prefaced his report by saying one of the considerations of the visioning session was to see how the wildflower parcel could be integrated with the Silver Palm Park, the site of the boat ramp. My mind wandered back to several council meetings held prior to Mr. Singer and I joining this body, where the council took a virtual blood oath not to touch Silver Palm Park as they moved forward with plans for the wildflower parcel. Again and again, residents rose to the microphone here and asked that the council save their boat ramp. And repeatedly, then Mayor Welchel promised there would be nothing done to the boat ramp. It was for this reason that no plans were offered by the Hillstone Group for connectivity with the adjoining parcel. I am in awe that now we are talking about integrating the 6 acres at Silver Palm with the 2 acres of wildflower parcel to create what Mrs. O'Rourke has called a sense of place. Forgetting for a moment that Silver Palm Park must allow county residents access, meaning any improvements to Silver Palm would benefit the city as well as county residents, I'm struck by the fact that all of the residents who appeared before the council to implore it to save their boat ramp seem to be rather complacent, as it appears Silver Palm Park is now being considered part of an integrated plan for the wildflower parcel. 3. Notwithstanding the fact that I am unable to see how these plans are going to fit on 2, or maybe we're talking about 8 acres, dining, entertainment, and retail would not be permitted uses if the City of Boca Raton question was approved by the voters. Again, the plain language of the question states, if passed, it would require all city-owned land adjacent to the intercoastal only be used for public recreation, public boating access, public streets, and stormwater uses. Only, bracketed, only on front, only on the back. I guess we mean only. At this point, if Mr. Zaccaro had the opportunity to come and speak, he would likely say, but the city council has the ability to correct the language, and we could legally probably do what he's saying. But that's not possible under the current situation. It's difficult to believe the council would override the will of the voters, either by repealing the voter-approved ordinance or making changes that ignored the emphatic language of it. And even if the council acted thusly, Mr. Hendry has virtually guaranteed there would be a legal challenge and or pushback from the voters in March at the upcoming municipal election. So the bottom line is, only means only. And closing one eye and holding your head at an angle will not change the plain meaning of the question. I am voting no on the City of Boca Raton question. And I hope that everyone who either feels that the city should go forward with its plans to have a waterside dining venue, or was excited about the, quote, broad diversity, unquote, of the possible activities discussed at Mr. Singer's workshop, which included dining, entertainment, fitness, recreation, and retail, will likewise vote no on this question. Thank you so much, and please remember to vote.
Thank you, Mr. Weinroth. Does that conclude your comments for this evening?
They do, and thank you very much for your indulgence, Mayor.
No.